Hello and welcome to this week's weekly wind-up with me, Helen Ashcroft. Coming up on today's show, we will be discussing career options for school leavers and also organ donations, a subject that we touched on last week. Now, as normal, we'll have two guests on the show discussing the topics to hand. The first is Christina Tipple from CK Careers, and my second guest is Gordon Crowe from NHS Blood and Transplant. Hello, and thank you ever so much for coming on and having a chat with us. So we'll start with yourself, Christina. What's C&K Careers? What does it stand for?
C&K Careers is Calderdale and Kirklees. Long ago we had Calderdale Careers and Kirklees Careers. They amalgamated and eventually we've become C&K Careers.
Right, so whereabouts are you based?
We have bases in Huddersfield, Dewsbury and Halifax, where we have the careers centres, but the careers advisors could be based in schools and colleges, and our adult advisors could be within the community.
Right, so based in school. This is something that I didn't have at school. Did you have a careers advisor in school?
I met the careers advisor once.
Really?
Yeah.
So obviously
We hope to meet students a lot more than once these days. I work in a local school,
Right.
And I tend to work with students from the ages of, well, year 8 to year 11, predominantly with year 11, because obviously that's when they're making those crucial decisions about what they're going to be doing when they leave that particular school.
Right, so you say that you work with them. What does that actually involve?
Well, we give information, advice and guidance.
Right.
So it could be information about a particular job, it could be information about different types of courses and colleges, information about apprenticeships and what they entail, so that that young person can make an informed choice about what they might want to do.
Right, so how often do you get to see a young person? You say you're based in a school. Do you want to tell us which school you're based in?
I'm actually based at Honley High School. I'm privileged to be
Really?
based there. I've been there for quite a number of years.
I used to go to that school. I love that school. Are they still in bottle green?
No, they're black
Really?
now. Yes, they're black and red. So a very comfortable school uniform.
Right.
You know, to make education sort of as comfortable as possible, really.
Brilliant. So you're actually based in the school?
I am.
So you have your own office?
I do have my own office. We also have a careers library there with lots of publications and leaflets, so the students from any age can look at leisure, you know, any information. I'm available on a drop-in in school, so they can come and see me at break time or lunch times. So we really are very available these days.
That's really good. And I can see that you've brought some information with it.
I have, yes.
Is this what you would give to the students when they come and see you?
Yes, this is all free information.
Right.
These are publications that our information team at C&K Careers produce. So we have our own team that does the research for what's available locally. And this particular booklet would be given to year 11, for example.
Right.
So it gives them all the information about leaving school and all information about local sixth forms and colleges in Calderdale and Kirklees, and also in some surrounding areas.
You see, when I was at school, I sort of had an idea where I wanted my career to go, but to be honest, it's not where I started out. What about yourself?
Well, I'm a nurse, so I knew I wanted to be a nurse quite early on, sort of when I was 16, 17. So during my A-levels, I'd already passed my O-levels to get in, and it didn't work very hard in my A-levels because I'd got into the course I needed to. So I already knew what I wanted to do.
Right.
But certainly I've got children now who are at university, and back when they were at school, they have no idea. You know, they're 16, 17 and no clue where they want to go and what they want to do.
I mean, there are students who do know, like Gordon, what they do want to do, and I suppose that makes my job a lot easier. However, what we do also do is make sure we open their eyes to other similar careers, because obviously sometimes they're not stretching themselves enough, or sometimes they're possibly overstretching themselves. So we've got to look at either side, really.
Their abilities and what's going to be right for them to achieve.
Absolutely. So for those students, that's a lot easier. For those that don't know what they want to do, obviously we'll run through every single option that is available. We can't make their decision, their choice for them, but we can help them make those choices.
And you're doing this, you're starting this process before they actually make the choices of the subjects, is that right?
Absolutely. We are now starting to work with children in year 8. So in some schools they actually make choices about subjects in year 8. In Honley they do wait till year 9. But we are introduced to the students in year 8 so they know who we are, we're a familiar face in school, and hopefully we're approachable so they can come and ask those questions.
That's excellent. Now, Honley, I mean, as I say, I used to go there, so I love the school anyway. But is this available in all high schools in Kirklees?
It's available in most high schools in Kirklees. Schools now contribute if they want the service, if they want our service within schools. So the majority of schools have this service.
Yes.
All the colleges have the service. So even once they've left high school and they move on to college, there's careers advisors there that can approach and they can ask for information, advice and guidance.
That's brilliant. Now, obviously, the results came out and some might have got what they wanted and they know the career path they want to go on, but some may have been a little disappointed at this time. Are they able to come to your service? Are they able to get some advice, some support? What happens to those people that now are a bit thrown?
Unfortunately, there were some students that were not as happy with their grades as they could have been. However, it's not the end of the world. No. That's the first thing we've got to realise. There are other options and maybe sideward steps that they can take. Usually there's a careers advisor available on GCSE results day at school. Right. So we pick them up straight away and offer them that information. We either will arrange to ring them later, give them the information there and then. We then follow them up and make sure that they know about maybe what other options and other alternatives are available. And we'll also advocate on their behalf as well, and we'll contact the college concerned or the sixth form, because it could be they may have missed out, slightly, but some colleges might be slightly flexible. Depending on the courses and the subjects, they may still allow them to start at that particular institution.
Oh, that's fabulous to know that they've got that support. Now, obviously in school, it's a free service, am I right?
It is a free service for students. All the leaflets are all free. Yes, it definitely is.
So what happens when they've actually left school? So they're on that time when they've left school, they perhaps haven't got the results that they wanted, and they don't know where to go. Is the service still free?
It is. We are actually an all-age service.
Right.
But we still work with those students that haven't achieved their results.
Yes.
In fact, I'm following up several students at the moment and trying to get them into an alternative. So it could be an alternative college or sixth form, or they could be looking at apprenticeships. So we'll help them with CVs, we'll help them with interview techniques, we'll help them fill out application forms. So that help and advice is certainly there because we don't want them, as they call, NEET. We don't want them to be not in employment, education or training.
Right.
We want to make sure that they are EAT.
Oh, that's fabulous. So where would they go for these interviews? Because it sounds really a good scheme.
We're quite happy to see students, where they feel most comfortable, but usually we'll meet them in school if we've seen them in school previously, but more often than not at one of our centres. As I mentioned, we have Huddersfield, Dewsbury, Halifax centres.
Right.
Monday to Friday, we have drop-in 10 till 4, so students with the parents or without, or with aunties or grandmas can just pop in and ask whatever questions they need, and we'll help them out.
So they don't have to come on their own then? They
Absolutely
can come
not.
with a family member or a friend?
They do that a lot of the time, or their support worker, whoever they feel most comfortable with.
Brilliant. Because, I mean, when I left school, as I say, I did have an idea of where I wanted to go, just the same as yourself, but some people aren't confident, are they, at that age?
No, and I think it sounds really fantastic that with this, the CVs and the interviews, because my eldest son has just finished university and is out there in the big wide world with a lot of other graduates now, but he's never done a CV before as such. He's never had any interview practice, and he's struggling to get his foot in the door. So to have that initially, before even you go to university or higher education or wherever, just to get that practice, I think it's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah,
brilliant.
absolutely.
And it certainly wasn't around when I was younger.
No,
And
was it when I
I'm
was?
not that old.
And that's the thing, unless you know about these things, you know, you're not able to access them, and I think it's really important. So thank you ever so much. Thank you ever so much for all that information. If somebody has been in this situation, as I keep saying, how do they actually get in touch with you?
Right, there's several ways. They can contact the careers advisor that they were linked with at school or college. They can come to one of our centres physically. They can ring our main number, which is 01484 22 5500, and either ask by someone by name, because it's one of those automated services, or ask for a centre. They can go onto our website, which is ckcareersonline.org.uk.
Right.
Lots of information on there.
So all the information about contacts can be found on our website. So anybody that does want this information, please have a look at the website and it will all be there for you. Thank you ever so much.
Welcome.
It's been lovely to chat with you.
Thank you. Thanks, Helen.
So now it's time for some local news from our area. According to a survey by the credit comparison website totallymoney.com, which was reported in the Huddersfield Examiner on the 25th of August this year, Huddersfield is one of the UK's worst places to live. In fact, Huddersfield was ranked 56th out of 64 places on the survey. Blackburn was named as the best place in Britain to live, although some people in that town were said to be amazed by the result. Well, let's find out what the residents of Huddersfield like about Huddersfield.
It's pretty cool, like all the stuff that goes on in the square, and well, the skate scene's amazing. I'm a skater, and there's a lot of skaters from Huddersfield. We've got a cool shop. But it's definitely not one of the worst places to live. I could think of worse places that I wouldn't want to live.
I find Huddersfield very nice, very quiet, no crowd, no busy, quiet.
Boring, there's nothing to do. There's nothing to do. I think it's quite a nice little area. I don't know. I think it's quite pretty because it's not all like built up like Leeds or somewhere.
I think it's about employment, I heard. And yeah, it is a black spot for employment, but it's a hidden gem, and anybody that does live around here, they have, even though they moan a lot around here, they know it is a special place.
And I think he's right, it is a very special place. So please join us after the break when we will be talking about organ donation. Remember, the weekly wind-up can be contacted by email at info@kirkleeslocaltv.com or on Twitter @theweeklywindup, and also on Facebook.
However large or small your business, attracting new customers requires dedication and a lot of patience. Just like fishing, but you also need the right gear.
Rods, reels, lines, hooks, sinkers, lures,
tackle box, tackle bag, net, bait, gas gloves, clothes, pocket knife, roach.
Or you could simply advertise with KLTV. Online, grow your business and your clientele. KLTV, your vision made reality. Should have gone to KLTV.
Welcome back to this week's show with me, Helen Ashcroft. Before we talk about organ donation, we have some more news from Kirklees. And this was in the Huddersfield Examiner on the 26th of August. Public health chiefs have said that more than 1 in 10 people in Kirklees are at risk of developing type 2 diabetes. A nationwide review by the Public Health England was commissioned in a bid to tackle rising levels of the disease. And we will have more on this news story on next week's show. Now, in the news on the show last week, we spoke about the story of Amanda Littlewood, who has polycystic kidney disease and is in urgent need of a transplant. But unfortunately, her son has also got this condition. We found out that Calderdale and Huddersfield NHS Trust has revealed it secured just 10 donations in 2014-15, less than 1 a month. So our second topic for this week is about organ donation, and I'm pleased to be joined by Gordon Crowe from NHS Blood and Transplant. But before we hear from Gordon, let's find out from the people of Huddersfield what they actually know about organ donation.
As far as I know, organ donation is something that you sign up to do, pass your organs on once you've died so that somebody else can then make use of them who might not have been fortunate enough to have their own organs working.
I've heard quite a lot about organ donation. Seems to be a lot of charities or sort of organisations you get around town occasionally asking about organs. Yeah, I think we should look into it more and get into more detail. What is it exactly they're wanting?
I know very little about organ donation apart from when you complete a form such as for your driving licence or for your passport where you can answer yes or no.
Not much, just you can do it like after you're dead you can give all your organs.
I know it saves people's lives and I think it's important to be on the donor list.
So we seem to have a lot of different opinions there about what this is all about. So who better to ask than Gordon himself? So we know you're not originally from Huddersfield, but we do know that you're part of this organisation. Tell me about your role.
So I'm the team manager for the Yorkshire Organ Donation Team, and we look after 16 specialist nurses for organ donation. So we've got one in every trust throughout Yorkshire. So not one in every hospital, but every trust. And we know with Calderdale and Huddersfield, there's 2 hospitals there, and Jane, the specialist nurse, works between the 2 hospitals, but she also works with a lot of dedicated people within the trust, so the intensive care nurses and the emergency nurses in A&E, and also some of the physicians, the intensive care physicians as well, in order to promote organ donation and to ensure that every family who's in that situation where donation is a possibility are approached and given that option of organ donation.
Right.
So just not in Yorkshire, but also countrywide, that is the case throughout the country as well, that we have a specialist nurse in every acute trust in the country.
Right. I mean, organ donation keeps coming into the news, and it was in the news at the weekend, wasn't it?
That's right.
With
Justin Wilson is from Sheffield originally,
right,
who tragically died in an IndyCar race over in America, but he went on to save a number of lives after he had died. And that is what organ donation is about, is that once that person has died, their organs can be retrieved and transplanted and help somebody else live. So it's a life-saving operation, and it's a very worthwhile thing to do.
I do believe so, but I don't know about yourself. I mean, do you know about the organ donation register or how to actually sign up?
Well, we used to have a little card in my purse, but I don't know if that's still the same.
They did away with it at one point, and they're bringing it back again now, because a lot of people are saying, well, I used to have a card, and it's that physical reminder. And we have a number of families who go, oh, my wife, my husband, my son, they had that card, let me go and try and find it. You do join the register online, and like your videos said, and a number of people said, you can join with the driving licence and the passports and Boots cards. There's a number of places where you can do it.
Boots card?
The Boots Advantage card. So if you join the Boots Advantage, you can join the organ donation register through there as well.
No, I didn't know that either.
On the back of the card, I think there's a little code or something like that says that whether you're on or not. Right. So there are a number of places where you can join GP surgeries online. There's phone numbers. But the message that we give out is that if you do join, then it's very important that you tell your loved ones that you've joined, and that they know your wishes after you've died, and that's a very important message.
Is it enough just to tell your next of kin, by the way, if anything happens, I'm willing to donate my organs, if you haven't joined any of these? Because
it's such an emotive time, and the families that we speak to, when the relatives know that you've signed up on the organ donor register, or it's something you want to do, it's a decision that they don't have to make at the end of life of that person. They know what your wishes were, and they know to help to carry out those wishes.
Right. So can anybody become a donor?
Anybody. You really have to die in quite a special way. So you have to die in intensive care, or in the emergency department, so in A&E. and that's why we have relatively few organ donors in the UK.
Right.
Last year we only had about 1,400 donors in the UK. However, people who die at home or in the hospital or wherever, they can sometimes donate tissues as well, so things like their eyes, their skin, their bone, tendons and ligaments.
Wow.
And that will go on to change people's lives. It'll give the gift of sight. It can really enhance people who've had burns, who've had skin donation, bone donation as well. Can sometimes you've got a bone cancer, instead of somebody losing the leg, they can have a graft in there, and that's very much life changing. Organ donation, it saves lives. It's as simple as that. It saves lives.
So, is there a particular organ that is more in need than another?
No, there are more people on the kidney transplant waiting list.
Right.
But they can have dialysis either in hospital or at home.
Yes.
And their disease can be managed for a period of time. But people in liver failure, heart failure and lung failure, they're really looking at death themselves unless sometimes they have a transplant. So they can be managed with medications and operations, but really sometimes a transplant is their only option at life. So there are fewer people on the liver and lung and heart lists,
yes,
but they're still in as much need as kidneys or any other organ.
So are the people that die because they haven't been able to get a transplant?
About 3 people a day die
Really?
waiting for an organ in the UK, which is it's a huge amount of people. And we've been trying to promote organ donation for a number of years now. We've increased the number of organ donors we've had.
Yes.
And we've been very successful in the amount of transplants that they now have. However, we're still not able to decrease the amount of people that are dying in need of an organ.
Goodness me. Can the person who's going to become a donor, can they choose the organs to donate?
They can do. They can go online. If they type in organ donation to a search engine, it will take you to the UK organ donation website, and all the information is on there. They can sign up for either all organs and tissues or any organ that they want to choose. So they can just say, well, I would like to just donate my kidney or my heart or my liver, or all of them. They can do that, and that's that person's choice of what they can donate.
So why do you think people don't sign up? Why isn't it automatic?
A lot of teenagers do now. As you saw in your video, and it's about the driving license. So a lot of people, when they get the provisional license, sign up to the organ donor register at that point, and obviously when they change it as well. Now I've just recently moved house, and again I've changed my addresses on the post, and it was there I re-signed on again.
Right.
So I've probably joined about 3 or 4 times now, but you can do that, and you'll only be on there once, even if you re-register as many times. But a lot of people think it's tempting fate. Oh, if I join the register, and well, I've been on it since I've been a teenager, and I'm now in my mid-40s, and so it's there to let people know that you've expressed a wish in the event of your death, you would like to help save another person's life.
So if somebody's been on the register and they've passed, and obviously the parents, relatives, whoever it may be, are dealing with a situation that they didn't really want to face at that time.
Yeah.
So the person's wishes are going to be granted because they've signed this donor card. That obviously is going to give somebody a life-changing experience, prolong the life. So the relatives of the person that's passed and donated, would they get to find out who or where they've gone or what's been taken?
Yeah, it's always up to the relatives of that donor what they want to know, and some families do not want to know anything. They'll say, just you can retrieve what you want to help as many lives as you can, but we don't want to know, and that's their prerogative, that's their choice.
Right.
A lot of families want to know as much as they can, and we can't give them a lot of details, but we can let them know that maybe a gentleman in his 50s received the gift of a kidney transplant. So we can give them a little bit of information, but nothing too much.
So from your experience, when that's happened then, and then they've found out that it's being given to this specific individual, does it give them comfort?
It does. At the time, and that's what a lot of families say to us, that when they get that letter or the phone call afterwards, that we let them know which organs we've retrieved and maybe where they've gone. They get a lot of comfort from that, knowing that they've managed to help and save somebody else's life. And they take that a lot, and we write to them throughout that first year, maybe at the first after a couple of weeks and after a year, and sometimes the families want to know a little bit more in a number of years, and I certainly write to a family that I dealt with, you know, back in 2006, and they just want to know how those recipients are getting on, and they get a lot of comfort knowing that person that they may never meet, they may never know about, is actually living because of the act that they did and the donation that they helped, and they get a lot of comfort and sometimes a lot of joy knowing that.
Yeah. I think, as I've said, it's a very emotional time, and if somebody isn't thinking about the longer term, they're just thinking about the here and now, which is understandable, it's hard to make that decision.
It is, and that's why we like to get involved with those families, because sometimes donation isn't an option for them.
No.
And they would say, well, no, for whatever reason, but we're there then to help guide them through what they need to do next, because if you've had a relative of yours who has died, well, what do I do? Where do I go? And you get a booklet from the hospital.
Yes.
But sometimes we can help really guide people along. This is what you need to do next. This is where you need to go, and that we're there to help them do that as well.
Right. So how long have you been on the donor register?
Well, a long time then, because I remember filling out this card a long time ago and thinking everybody who should be, really, if they're able to, because my wish would be to make sure that if I'm passing away, then someone else can, you know, have that life and live on.
I have to say, and I hope you don't mind me asking, but when I was little, my grandparents used to say, you know, oh, you never know, you might need it on the other side. And there was a thing about, you know, putting pennies on the eyes and, you know, just in case you needed them. Have you heard that as well?
There's all sorts of traditions out there, or sayings and myths that are passed down sometimes from grannies and granddads out there.
Yeah. We had one story from we knew some Americans, and they had a relative that said, well, you can have one eye and one kidney because they need to see and pee in heaven. And that was their belief.
Okay.
And it's very hard to challenge belief.
Yes.
But with the pennies on the eyes, you know, that's it's what you believe, but you know, the gift to the gift of the eyes, eye donation can save 2 people's sight, and that's really important for those people who obviously have got cataracts or have got any other eye injury.
So just finally, what could happen, ideally, we're in an ideal world now, what could happen to make the list of people needing a donation, an organ, what could happen for that to totally disappear?
That's a wider issue, because a lot of those patients who are on the transplant list are there because of diseases they've got from throughout life. So you mentioned diabetes earlier on. Now, diabetes can cause renal failure, which can then lead you to need a transplant.
Right.
You know, and we live around in Yorkshire, certainly South Yorkshire. There was quite a lot of miners who needed lung transplants from the diseases from the mines that they've picked up.
Right.
You know, we've got so a lot of cardiac disease and liver disease and kidney disease that is around that we might never be able to cure. They will then need that transplant. But if we live a more healthier lifestyle, then that'll certainly help. But of course, a lot of people who are on the kidney waiting list are from the BAME community, so the Black and Asian community, and unfortunately, because of where their genetics, they're more prevalent to need an organ anyway, and that's something that we can't really do anything about as well. So they're more prone to renal disease, so therefore they're more likely to end up in organ failure and need a transplant.
Okay, so what can we do to increase the number of people on the register, on the donators register? It's
just it's a lot of promotion. It's going out there. It's signing up to the register. But more importantly than being on the register, it's really telling your loved ones, your relatives, your next of kin, if you're on the register or not, I want to do this in the event of my death. I want to donate my organs. If you join the register, let people know even if you don't join the register, that's something you want to do, let your loved one know. And so when we come and talk to those relatives in that event, they know their loved one's wishes and we can carry those wishes out.
And how soon after somebody's passed do you actually hold that conversation?
We'll be holding it straight away.
Within minutes?
Well, how it works is there, with organ donation, that patient will still be in the intensive care unit. They could be what's termed brainstem dead, so they've undergone some brainstem death tests. So if you've had an accident or a bleed, there's a bit in the back of your brain that is irreversibly destroyed and you'll never wake up and you'll never breathe.
Yeah.
Now, that patient is still on a ventilator, a breathing machine, there might be some drugs there, but they are dead even though their heart is still beating.
Yes.
And we'll talk to that family about organ donation before all that intensive care support is taken away. Another way that we do it is that sometimes the people in intensive care and the emergency department, the injuries or the diseases that have brought them into that department are so severe that that patient's ongoing care is not in the best interest of that patient, and they will withdraw that care for that patient to die. And the mortality rate in intensive care is around 20 to 30%. So sometimes patients who go in there, unfortunately, because of the severity of that injury, will not get out. But we can talk to the families of those patients, and before they withdraw care, then we can have a conversation about organ donation, and the care is withdrawn and the patient dies, and then we go and retrieve.
Because for me, what you've just told me helps, because if something happened and I was asked, I now know when I'm going to be asked.
Yeah, you'll be asked around, and we'll work in conjunction with the doctors and the nurses of that unit.
Yes.
In approaching that family and supporting that family through that decision.
And you can still see your loved one after they've had given the donation.
Yeah, we have some families that do,
right,
and some leave the hospital and don't want to come back, but absolutely they can afterwards, and they will look. It is an operation, and that's important to know. And the operation does take place in the theatre like any other operation, and the surgeons that come and retrieve the organs are specialist transplant surgeons and retrieval surgeons, and they take the greatest and utmost care because they know the gift and the decision that that family has made, and that gift and how that will save someone else's life. Great care is taken throughout that retrieval operation, and it's done the utmost dignity as can be. And those organs are retrieved and obviously transplanted within 24 hours.
Wow. I don't know about yourself, but I really didn't know all that's involved.
Yeah.
It's reassuring to know all those things.
Yeah.
You know, what happens, whichever side you're on, you know, whether you're passing away or whether you're making those decisions as a family member.
Yeah. A lot of the information is actually on the website. And
that was my next question. You're in there before I got there.
But it's a lot of the information about the FAQs, the female.
Yes.
It's all on the website as well. It's all there.
Brilliant. So when you say in the website, what website is it?
Organdonation.co.uk.
It's a very easy one to remember, isn't it?
Mm.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm hoping that from watching this, the register will extend slightly, and hopefully in time, you know, everybody will be part of that register and donating and saving people's lives.
Fantastic. That's what we hope.
Thank you ever so much.
You.
Thank you. Right, finally for the last news story from Kirklees, and as always, I try and make it a feel-good story. So this was in the Huddersfield Examiner on the 25th of August. And this is about Geoffrey Boycott. He's actually scored again for Yorkshire. The legendary cricketer has secured a pledge from the Chancellor George Osborne of £1 million towards buying a new air ambulance for Yorkshire. During a visit to the helicopters base near Wakefield, Mr Osborne said the cash was coming from fines levied on banks. Geoffrey Boycott was asking the government for support, and I'm delighted to be able to donate towards the funding of a new helicopter for the Yorkshire Air Ambulance, he said. Now, Peter Sunderland of Huddersfield is actually the chairman of the Yorkshire Air Ambulance, and he said the cash will go towards replacing the two of the older helicopters that are in service at the moment. He said, "We've been working hard over the last few years to build our reserves to ensure that when the time is right, we will be able to provide the people of Yorkshire with a brand new state-of-the-art helicopter with all the latest medical equipment and, of course, facilities. This generous donation from the Chancellor will put us in an ideal position to consolidate and look at the options which will ensure the continuation for this life-saving service for the next 25 years. So that's it from this week's Weekly Wind-Up. Thank you ever so much for joining us, and thank you so much to my guests. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've certainly learnt a lot. Hopefully I'll get to come into Honley High School and relive my youth. But it's been lovely to talk to you, and I genuinely hope the register does go on the increase now. Please remember that the Weekly Wind-Up can be contacted by email at info@kirkleeslocaltv.com or on Twitter @The Weekly Wind-Up, and we can also be found on Facebook. Thank you ever so much. Goodbye.